Charlie Kirk's killer, Tyler Robinson. He's not black. He's not trans. He's not Muslim. He's not an immigrant. He is not a Democrat. Meet Charlie Kirk's assassin, Tyler Robinson. He is a white, Christian, conservative, Republican male with a gun again.
Charlie Kirk got murdered by one of his own. Let me say it again so it can sink in. Charlie Kirk was assassinated by one of his own. Let me break it down. Not black, not brown, not Muslim, not Arab, not Palestinian, not Latino, not immigrant, not LGBTQIA, not Democrat. So who is he? Meet Tyler Robinson. I mean, names don't come more American and more white than that. A white, American, cisgendered male, Christian, from a pro-Trump loving Republican family. I mean, MAGA must be in chaos, because how are they going to spin this? This is not a lefty that did this, but a righty. Let me just reiterate for those at the back. Tyler Robinson killing Charlie Kirk was absolutely and totally wrong. Evil. How dare you kill him and take his life because you don't like him and hate his views? What the hell? So for those of you who are incapable of understanding that multiple truths coexist, I am not you. Because you see, I can condemn the manner in which Charlie Kirk was killed and still find that Charlie Kirk was a repugnantly racist, white supremacist, white nationalist, anti-Muslim, Islamophobic, homo, transphobic, Zionist bigot. Oh, you don't like what I just said? You find it offensive? You see that cue? Go join it. I say this with my full chest. I am glad that the killer of Charlie Kirk is not black, brown, Muslim, Arab, Palestinian, trans, immigrant, Latino, or any of the demographics that Charlie Kirk spent his entire existence targeting for his self-serving political interests. Because you know that if there had been any of those demographics, the entire apparatus of hate, power, and influence from the right would have been tsunamied against all of these demographics, regardless of innocence or guilt. So now I'm going to sit back and watch the right-wingers and far-right eat their feces and faces after spending the last few days threatening and declaring war on the left and everybody else. Because you know what? It seems to me, Mr. Musk, that it is not the left that is a party of murder, but the right. And since you right-wingers won't leave yourselves in peace, by all means, go fight and die by yourselves. Yet is a war, all right, on the right. Oh yes, Mr. Fox News, all you right-wingers are accountable since it's a righty that killed Charlie Kirk. Okay, squabble up. Go fight yourselves since the talking is over. The caucasity of comparing Charlie Kirk to Martin Luther King Jr.? You people must be mad. Get out of here. Watch out for the headlines as they humanize Tyler Robinson as this 22-year-old university student born and raised in Utah in a very white American conservative Christian Republican MAGA-loving family. And poof, no more outrage. But they will still find ways to blame us for a white man's deed.
I feel like the most ironic part about the whole Charlie Kirk situation is now that they found out that the shooter was a 22-year-old Republican conservative MAGA supporter, that they're about to stop talking about this in a week. And if it was a POC, they would be on our neck the same way they were on George Floyd's. Like HBCUs are getting threats, and it came out that black people, we didn't even have nothing to do with it. We didn't have nothing to do with it in the first place. Like, what's tea? Like, they're really finna stop talking about it. Like, I cannot believe it. It'd be your own people, huh?
What do you think the chances are that MAGA is going to apologize now that we know that the shooter was actually a Christian white male Republican? Yeah, it's basically zero, let's be honest with each other. Elon Musk called the left the party of murder. They were talking about how they needed to reinstitute the death penalty. They were talking about how everyone who voted for Democrats needs to be labeled as a terrorist. They were saying that the Air Force needed to be sent to blue cities. That is the rhetoric that was just being labeled onto anyone who voted differently than them just 24 hours ago. Not to mention the fact that 7 different HBCUs had to put on lockdown because of threats that were coming into them. That was all before they even knew the identity of the shooter. These people are so bloodthirsty and absolutely maniacal that they were ready to start waging war on anybody who didn't vote the same way as them before even knowing the identity of the person. Do not let these people gaslight you for 1 second, thinking that you should feel bad or that your moral compass is broken because you're not upset because Charlie Kirk is gone. Listen, these are the same people who've been watching a genocide go on, have said nothing, have been watching the police kill people in our streets, said nothing, watched the troops deployed into our streets, said nothing, watched Trump talking about having brown and black people being eaten alive by alligators, and they bought merch to support it. I'm not celebrating the fact that he's no longer with us, but you are not going to get 1 single percentage of me that is going to feel bad or mourn such a terrible person leaving this earth. The truth of the matter is that the country is probably safer today because his hateful rhetoric isn't being spewed anymore.
Hello guys, and welcome to the Joy Report, where we get an outsider's view with an insider's clarity. The conservative world is in chaos right now. For years, MAGA leaders and influencers built their entire brand on fear-mongering, division, and constant finger-pointing at immigrants, black communities, Muslims, and anyone they label as other. They tell their followers that America is under attack from outsiders, that their way of life is being destroyed by people who don't look like them. But now, shocking news breaks. Charlie Kirk's attacker is not some foreign enemy, not some so-called illegal immigrant, not even a liberal protester, but a Republican white American. The silence in MAGA circles is deafening. Before we proceed, all credit goes to the creators of these videos. Let me roll a few more clips and I'll come back with more commentary.
Now that the right has gotten real fucking quiet, y'all tried to start a civil war like yesterday. Now you're real fucking quiet. You guys tried to start a race war. You were calling for the death of like all liberals. Thousands of people got death threats. Bomb threats were called into so many places. Like yesterday, and y'all are acting like you just fucking forgot. That's the kind of shit terrorists do. To terrorize people. And y'all just showed how violent and hateful you are while screaming how violent and hateful the left is. And then y'all realized you were looking in the fucking mirror. And now you're real fucking quiet. Pepperidge Farms remembers. And I'm not gonna let you forget, you tried to start a civil war through violence based on your hatred. White men fight back. White men fight back. How are you guys feeling now? You're so quiet. How are you guys feeling now? Because it just sounds like you ran out of ways to spin this.
So we finally know who the Charlie Kirk shooter is. And surprise, surprise, he wasn't some left-wing radical at all. He was raised in a Republican household, and there are even photos of him in a pro-Donald Trump costume for Halloween just a few years ago. That doesn't sound very left-leaning to me. But here's the thing. Republicans didn't wait around for any of that sort of identifying information. Before we knew anything about the shooter, they were already saying it was a Democrat and using that to say all Democrats are violent, even trying to say we should be labeled as domestic terrorists. They were calling for civil war and practically begging for it to be a left-wing extremist. And leading that charge was Nancy Mace. She went on record saying, "You guys in the press call me the most transphobic member of Congress." Turns out there was transgender, anti-fascist things engraved in the ammunition and the rifle that was apprehended. She even said the shooter was tranny or pro-tranny, baselessly. She said that before the suspect was even identified. No facts, no confirmation on any of this. Just raw desperation to make it fit her narrative. Well, Nancy, now we know the truth. The shooter wasn't a leftist. He was raised Republican. So here's my demand now that we know all of this. Apologize. Apologize for spreading lies about the trans community. Apologize for trying to pin this on Democrats without a shred of evidence. Apologize and resign.
The same crowd that screams about border walls, Muslim bans, and Democrat cities filled with crime suddenly has nothing to say. They are left in shock, scrambling to rewrite the story because the truth cuts deep. The violence they fear is never just coming from the outside. It is festering inside their own base. Charlie Kirk was one of the loudest voices for MAGA. He dedicated his platform to spreading division, attacking diversity, and amplifying white grievance politics. His followers adored him, believed his words represented truth and protection. But the irony could not be stronger. The very movement that thrives on weaponizing fear is not staring at its own reflection. The attacker is not an enemy planted by the left. He is one of their own, a Republican, a white American, someone who could easily be sitting at their rallies, cheering alongside them just a week ago. That reality sends chills through MAGA world. For years, they paint white Americans as the true patriots, incapable of the kind of violence they constantly accuse minorities of. But the narrative is collapsing in real time. How do they explain that their loudest voice of American values is silenced by the same group they claim represents safety and tradition? This isn't the story MAGA wants to tell. Social media is exploding. Supporters are trying everything to deflect. Some blame deep state conspiracies. Others claim the media is twisting facts, but no amount of spin changes what sits in the police reports. The attacker is Republican. He is white. And for once, they cannot drag immigrants or black communities into the blame game. MAGA is being forced to look at themselves, and they don't like what they see. What makes this moment even more powerful is how it exposes the fragility of MAGA's entire belief system. For years, they thrive on a simple story. Outsiders are bad, insiders are good. But when violence comes from within, when the threat looks just like the people they call real Americans, the mask slips. Hate and extremism do not follow the neat lines MAGA draws. The monster they create does not need an immigrant face or a black body to pull the trigger. It is one of their own soldiers turning against them. And that is what has MAGA shaking. If their own base can turn violent against them, then no one in that movement is safe. The same rhetoric that encourages hostility, the same culture of anger and paranoia, is now eating its own leaders alive. They built a movement on rage, and now that rage circles back. Charlie Kirk's attack is not just a tragedy, it is a symbol of the danger of fueling hate for political gain. The Republican establishment is already showing cracks. Some politicians rush out hollow condolences, careful not to mention that the attacker is one of their own. The truth is too inconvenient. They can't spin this as another reason for border walls or another justification to over-police black neighborhoods. This time, the shooter looks like their neighbor. He looks like their voters. He looks like their sons. For people outside the MAGA bubble, this is not a surprise. It's grim validation. Black communities, immigrant families, and progressives warned for years that the greatest danger in America is not coming from the outside. It is homegrown extremism. It is white supremacy. It is the radicalization of angry white men who believe they are entitled to control the country. And now, the proof is right in front of everyone. The hypocrisy is on full display. When the accused criminal is a person of color, MAGA rushes to label it terrorism. They demand harsher laws. They paint entire communities as guilty. But when the attacker is a white Republican, suddenly it's mental illness. Suddenly it's an isolated case. Suddenly it's silence. The double standard is glaring, and the public sees it.
So apparently the whole Tyler Robinson, Charlie Kirk thing is taking a very strange turn. I reported yesterday that Tyler Robinson was registered as an unaffiliated voter, and that is true as far as we can tell. It turns out that he was what they call a groiper, which I never really heard the term before until I had to dig into it. It's an alt-right group who likes Nick Fuentes, and apparently they don't like conservatives like Charlie Kirk because they don't think they're conservative enough. Tyler Robinson was very active on places like 4chan, and he talked a lot about how he didn't like Charlie Kirk. According to Utah officials and police interviews with his family, Tyler Robinson hated Charlie Kirk because Kirk wasn't conservative enough. And according to a journalist, they said over on Twitter, apparently the GOP is scrubbing posts they made about Democrats being responsible for this whole thing as fast as they can, trying to pretend that they never blamed Democrats for everything. It's strange, but this appears to be conservative on conservative violence. Whereas the MAGA, ever since the incident happened, have been screaming from the rooftops that it was Democrats and it has to be Democrats and all the Democrats did this, the call is apparently coming from inside the House. Tyler Robinson liked Nick Fuentes, who has called Charlie Kirk a fake conservative and a gatekeeper, having public feuds with Kirk over the years. So now we really have to see what happens in the coming weeks as the MAGA find out a way to resolve this feud with Fuentes' side. And I know many of them are still going to blame the Democrats no matter what, but they can't really here because there's nothing tying any of this to the Democrats. Tyler Robinson and his entire family are conservatives. He doesn't identify as a Republican, even though his parents do. And although I didn't realize this, apparently there's such a thing as being radicalized so much by the right wing that you turn against the other people in the right wing. This is very interesting, and I have no idea where it's going to go.
MAGA's fear now is not just about the crime itself. It is about their narrative collapsing. For years, they convinced followers that whiteness equals safety, that Republicans are the party of law and order, that conservatives protect America from chaos. But the attack of Charlie Kirk by one of their own destroys that myth in an instant. The danger does not need to be imported. It is already there, nurtured by the very environment MAGA creates. And honestly, this moment is inevitable. When a political movement thrives on anger, when leaders normalizes violence in speeches, rallies, and online platforms, the seeds are planted. The harvest is here. The rage does not stay neatly pointed at outsiders forever. Eventually, it turns inwards. Charlie Kirk's tragedy is the result of years of hate being given a microphone, and MAGA cannot wash its hands clean of that. The bigger question now is how MAGA followers respond. Do they finally wake up to the fact that hate has no loyalty, that it devours everything in its path? Or do they double down on denial, pretending again that it's all some conspiracy? Right now, the cracks in the movement are showing. The image of safety they built around white Republican identity is shattered. For the rest of America, the lesson is crystal clear. Extremism cannot be controlled once it's unleashed. When people are fed a steady diet of fear, lies, and anger, that anger eventually explodes, even against the ones who created it. MAGA is now facing the consequences of its own culture, and the irony is sharp. Charlie Kirk, one of the loudest voices of that culture, is silenced not by the enemies he warned about, but by the very kind of man he uplifted as a true American. MAGA wants to believe they are untouchable, that their leaders can stir hate without ever being consumed by it. But the truth is right in front of them, undeniable. Their fear is real now, not because of outsiders, but because the monster they created has turned inward.
He's a Republican. I knew he was a Republican the moment they were like, guy on a roof shoots Charlie Kirk in his carotid artery from 200 yards away. I mean, I was clearly a Republican because a Democrat cannot do that. You have dubbed us the party of snowflakes. No one has more guns than you. No one has more shooting practice than you. Y'all need to figure that shit out. Because it's got nothing to do with no.
So what do you all think? How many more moments like this does it take before they admit the truth? How many more lives to be lost before they realize that hate doesn't protect? It destroys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. I would love to keep this discussion going. Otherwise, that's it from me. I also have a Fafo playlist, and if you enjoy such kind of content, please click up here and enjoy. Also, consider subscribing, liking and sharing because it helps me grow my channel and helps YouTube recommend this video to a wider audience. But for now, thank you so much for watching, and until the next time, the Joy Report out.